Hello and welcome back, everyone, after a long break to the Silmarillion podcast. What have I been up to? Well, mostly it was the new update. Before that, I got sick. Before that, I did not like my mic. So there was a lot of reasons and excuses not to make the Silmarillion podcast. But eventually, now that everything seems to be in order, I thought we would make this one again. What have you been up to, Michi?
New update, some shifting in family stuff, but now we're back.
There we go. That's it. New update. Where dragons dwell. We went to find the dragons. There was a in-game command to lecture. Electing the lecture command, and it shows on the side on the podcast as well for anybody who's watching. Estelle is just like moving hands. Like he's really serious. So last time we were on chapter 6. That was a fun chapter, but we're gonna pick up on chapter 7, which is a really important chapter because it is titled Of the Silmarils and the Unrest of Noldor. This is the main chapter because this finally we're gonna talk about the Silmarils, hopefully. In that time were made those things that afterwards were most renowned of all the works of the elves, for Feanor, being come to his full might, was filled with a new thought, or it may be that some shadow of foreknowledge came to him of the doom that drew near, and he pondered how the light of the trees, the glory of the blessed realm, might be preserved imperishable. Then he began a long and secret labor, and he summoned all his lore and his power and his subtle skill, and at the end of all he made the Silmarils. There we go, finally the moment has arrived. Finally the Silmarils are being made. Just by reading the title and not knowing anything about it, people or anyone would still be wondering, like, what exactly are the Silmarils? Like, what are they? Well, they are basically gems. As many of you have thought, what is this book about? Its title is the Silmarillion, yet so far we have not talked about the Silmarils at all. What are the Silmarils? Now this is finally the moment the Silmarils are made, and who makes them? Well, none other than the greatest of all the elfsmiths, Feanor. When he was born as like a spirit of fire. All that craft that he learned from his wife's father, from Aule, and his own skill, finally culminates in the creation of the Silmarils. But one can ask, like, why does he make the Silmarils? Like, is there some other evil reason behind it, or is there any reasoning to him making these Silmarils? Well, here we are told explicitly that he makes them to preserve the glory of the blessed realm. Valinor is where he was born, under the light of the two trees, and he wants to preserve that light, that glory. It is a noble act, regardless of what happens later, and we find out that all the other reasons that he made the Silmarils, which were not so noble, but this, in its inception at the beginning, as the intention, was a good act to preserve the glory of Valinor and not let the light of the two trees just expire or wither. You want to grab the next one?
As three great jewels they were in form, but not until the end, when Feanor shall return, who perished ere the sun was made, and sits now in the halls of awaiting, and comes no more among his kin. Not until the sun passes and the moon falls shall it be known of what substance they were made. Like the crystal of diamonds it appeared, and yet was more strong than adamant, so that no violence could mar it or break it within the kingdom of Arda. Yet that crystal was to the Silmarils, but as is the body to the children of Iluvatar, the house of its inner fire, that is within it, and yet in all parts of it, and is its life. And the inner fire of the Silmarils Feanor made of the blended light of the trees of Valinor, which lives in them yet, though the trees have long withered and shine no more. Therefore, even in the darkness of the deepest treasury, the Silmarils of their own radiance shone like the stars of Varda. And yet, as were they indeed living things, they rejoiced in light and received it and gave it back in hues more marvelous than before.
Wow. Here we get a description of the Silmarils. We can say that it would be kind of simplistic to just call them gems of light, because they weren't just gems of light, they were so much more. The light of the two trees blended was captured in them, but they made it even more beautiful. And also, we can't just say that they were crystals that caught the light of the two trees, because they were, again, much more than just crystals, because crystals was just an outer cover to them, like the body. We can say that like Fea lives in Roa, as we discussed in the previous parts. Same way, the crystals were the Roa, the body, the cover, in which the Fea, the soul of the Silmarils, lived. Also, we find out that these Silmarils were impossible to destroy. So, what exactly did he make them from, or how he made them? Well, nobody but Feanor knows that, and he has told nobody how he made them. Absolutely, not even his children. Again, we get the foreshadowing, making it clear that the history was written much later, even when the trees have long gone and this and that. So again, spoiler alert, does not care. It's like a history book, and it's like history that everybody knows and everybody's aware of. Basically, that's how this book is written. Another thing we notice here is they rejoiced in light and received it and gave it back in hues more marvelous than before. So are they like beings? Are the Silmarils like active beings or something living? I don't know, but really unique kind of creations that Feanor was able to make, and not even the Valar know how to make it. So this, I want to underline that point again. Nobody knows how he made these amazing Silmarils, and he has told no one, and not even like the gods, the Valars, even they don't know how he made him. It's just fascinating. All who dwelt in Aman were filled with wonder and delight at the work of Feanor, and Varda hallowed the Silmarils, so that thereafter no mortal flesh, nor hands unclean, nor anything of evil will might touch them. But it was scorched and withered, and Mandos foretold that the fates of Arda, earth, sea, and air lay locked within them. The heart of Feanor was fast bound to these things that he himself had made. Then Melkor lusted for the Silmarils, and the very memory of their radiance was a gnawing fire in his heart. From that time forth, inflamed by his desire, he sought ever more eagerly how he should destroy Feanor and end the friendship of the Valar and the elves. But he dissembled his purposes with cunning, and nothing of his malice could yet be seen in the semblance that he wore. Long was he at work, and slow at first, and barren was his labor. But he that sows lies in the end shall not lack of a harvest, and soon he may rest from toil indeed, while others reap and sow in his stead. Ever Melkor found some ears that would heed him, and some tongues that would enlarge what they had heard, and his lies passed from friend to friend as secrets of which the knowledge proves the teller wise. Bitterly did the Noldor atone for the folly of their open ears in the days that followed after. Oh man, that is
Oh
some
man.
beautiful writing there. That is some amazing stuff. Oh, well, there is so much in this one paragraph. This is what I like about the Silmarils. Like, you can read a page and like nothing really is happening, and then you read like a paragraph, and
Wait, did I almost miss something? You're like,
yeah,
oh.
like
At least
wait,
then
wait,
the titles
what?
of the chapters are like some of the if each of these quentas are like very indicative of what you're going to read. Like that.
But really, oh my goodness. So let's figure it from the top. So Feanor makes these Silmarils, and everyone, including the Valar, are amazed at at his creation. Varda hallowed the Silmarils. This is the second or third time that we are seeing Varda hallowing something. Hallowing, as we discussed earlier, means making holy. So not everyone can hold or even touch the Silmaril without being scourged if they are unclean or have an evil will, evil intention. Also, who else can't touch them? Well, it's the men. By men with like a capital M, the mortals. They can't touch the Silmarils either. But here is something that might be worth just going a little deep in Tolkien's own beliefs, maybe. So why is that? Why do you think mortals can't touch them either? Like, men can be good men if the are they equating like men with evil? What do you think? Like, why can't the mortals hold them?
Maybe this is just too malleable or too they couldn't have hands unclean with a non I guess more with a non-immortal. But does this also mean I guess the dwarves are included there too, so they cannot touch them?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. Well, so death was a gift that Eru himself gave to the men. So why can't good men touch the Silmarils? Well, I guess here we can say that maybe on some level, Tolkien is implying here, really, not explicitly, but kind of implicitly, just applying the original sin, maybe. Tolkien being a Catholic, since right after mortal flesh, he goes to know hands unclean, since humanity is born in sin, in original sin, until they believe Christ. So they are unclean to touch or hold the Silmarils. Maybe that's what is implying here, which is interesting. But this Silmarillion is like one of the earliest writings of Tolkien. So he's writing this way before even The Hobbit was like thought of. He's writing these in his like teens. I think Tolkien would have maybe changed this part or come up with like a more in-lore kind of explanation of this passage if he had the chance. It doesn't entirely make sense to me to imply original sin here, because, well, there is no Adam and Eve, so there can't be any original sin. So good men or good dwarves or whatever should be able to touch the Silmarils. without withering, dying, or something. Well, at least it doesn't make sense to me. I'm sure much more impressive and amazing scholars than me would have a better explanation to this. I think this is one of the things that maybe we'll ask the Tolkien professor next time he comes to visit us on Brandywine. So I might make like a note to ask him. He always have a good explanation to all the questions that we have. So that was one thing that I wanted to kind of discuss. It was interesting to see apply that mortals can't touch them either, or anything unclean. So another thing we have here, well, we have a prophecy from Mandos. What do you remember the thing? What was the deal with the prophecies of Mandos? Because Mandos knows everything, but he would only speak when Manwe asked him, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
That sounds.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So like he knows all the things that are going to happen, or most of it, but he doesn't just tell people like, oh, this is going to happen to you, this is going to happen to you. He only, if at the bidding of Manwe, does he say his doom, say his prophecy, or say what is going to happen. Here might be the only or one of those few times where he speaks his doom without Manwe asking him, right? So that was interesting as well. Might be a really important moment that Mandos is, well, say, speaking his doom, giving a prophecy without being asked by Manwe. What is the prophecy? Well, that the fates of Arda, earth, sea, and air lay locked within them. That is a lot of pressure on the poor Silmarils, huh? That is a lot of pressure on the Silmarils. So what does it mean? The fates of Arda, earth, sea, and air lay locked within them. Well, I won't spoil what it means, but we'll find out what that means as the story continues. But we can tell that these Silmarils are very important. Even though Feanor made them, I believe Eru Ilúvatar willed it. They might be part of his plan. Also another thing, so Feanor is the one who made these Silmarils, but we can see that his heart is fast bound to these things. This is not like Aule making the dwarves. Remember, Aule made the dwarves, but at the end, when Eru called him out on it, he was humble and was even willing to destroy them. That is not the case with our friend Feanor. He's not Aule, because Aule making the dwarves and then just handing their fate to Ilúvatar in humility. We remember from those past sessions that Feanor is proud and he's jealous. Those are the characteristics that we learned about him in the last chapter. He didn't even like his stepmother, for she got share in love of his father from him. So he created these Silmarils, and he does not want anyone to even look at them or hold them or want them or need them. It's like a really jealous kind of love or affection or desire or something that he has with this creation of his, which is, yeah, it's one of the many character flaws of Feanor, who is the best of the best smiths, but as a elf, as a good person, he's not. He has jealousy inside him, and jealousy pretty much ruins everything. So let's return to Melkor. He has been granted freedom to roam around. Everyone pretty much believes that he is cured of all evil and would be a good boy for the rest of years. But he's still plotting his vengeance, and when he sees Feanor's Silmarils, he loses it. He really wants those awesome gems for himself, so he continues to act on his plan, starting rumors, falsehoods, and trying his best to sow discord between the elves and the Valar. The Vanyar, as you know, don't pay much attention to him, right? Um, they are the closest to Manwë and Varda, and they are really happy living at their bottom of their hill, near the side of the two trees. To Teleri, he never really went to the Teleri because he didn't think much of them, or didn't think they were anything important to his plan, in his revenge plot. It's in Noldor that he found his best bet, basically. Noldor had all the characteristics that he was looking for to sow the seeds of discord, and well, some beautiful lines here. But he that sows lies in the end shall not lack of a harvest, and soon he may rest from toil indeed, while others reap and sow in his stead. It is such a beautiful way of writing. Yeah, once you just start this little rumor about something, and then if you just find the ears that will hear it, and then tongues that will just make it even worse than it sounds, make it bigger and bad, and spread the rumors, and well, you just don't have to do anything else. You just kindle that fire and it just lights the whole forest. And that is what happened. The Noldor were fault. It was their fault that they heeded the words and lies of the pure evil Melkor, and well, in the end, they paid the price. Okay, you take the next one. Okay, Michi is having some connection issues. I'm gonna take this next slide as well. How about that? So, when he saw that many leaned towards him, Melkor would often walk among them, and amid his fair words others were woven, so subtly that many who heard them believed in recollection that they arose from their own thought. Visions he would conjure in their hearts of the mighty realms that they could have ruled at their own will, in power and in freedom, in the east. And then whispers went abroad that the Valar had brought the Eldar to Aman because of their jealousy, fearing that the beauty of the Quendi and the Maker's power that Ilúvatar had bequeathed to them would grow too great for the Valar to govern, as the elves waxed and spread from the wide lands of the world. Wow, okay. So Melkor comes up with the best plan. He tells the elves that the Valar brought them to Valinor because they did not want the elves to be free and make their own realms in the wide world of Middle-earth, that they were prisoners. And slowly the rumors spread, and he just sows the seeds, and the Noldor make it grow into a giant tree, with branches and leaves everywhere. Which is weird, since the Valar brought them to Aman because of the threat of the Melkor and his allies. It was not because they wanted to imprison them or were afraid of their might and splendor of spreading in Middle-earth. But now you see that they are letting themselves being manipulated by this pure evil, and he even is able to make them believe that the Valar are afraid of the elves' potential to become even greater than the Valar. The Valar are the ones who helped create the world, create Middle-earth and Valinor. So it was so weird. But this is the Noldor. It's all they're doing. They let themselves being manipulated by Melkor. They did not see through his evil plans and how he would conjure visions in their hearts of the mighty realms. He still has powers. He has not lost all his powers. He has the power to manipulate and show visions to these elves. Another really cool kind of thing he does, well, cool, quote unquote cool, nothing cool about him, but Melkor would often walk among them, and amid his fair words, others were woven. So he was just talking about other things, and then he would just throw in the rumors so subtly that many who heard them kind of just, in the end, they would believe, well, I came up with it. It was my theory. I heard it myself. So hearsay is what he did. You heard it from him, he heard it from her, she heard it from someone else, and everybody just makes up lies to make justification of what they were saying. In those days, moreover, though the Valar knew indeed of the coming of men that were to be, the elves as yet knew naught of it, for Manwe had not revealed it to them. But Melkor spoke to them in secret of mortal men, seeing how the silence of the Valar might be twisted to evil. Little he knew yet concerning men who, engrossed with his own thought in the music, he had paid small heed to the third theme of Ilúvatar. But now the whisper went among the elves that Manwe held them captive, so that men might come and supplant them in the kingdoms of Middle-earth. For the Valar saw that they might more easily sway this short-lived and weaker race, defrauding the elves of the inheritance of Ilúvatar. Small truth was there in this, and little have the Valar ever prevailed to sway the wills of men, but many of the Noldor believed, or half believed, the evil words. Wow. So, I remember the Valar were part of the music of the Ainur at the beginning. The vision that the Ilúvatar showed them, it included the second children of Ilúvatar as well. But the Valar obviously did not tell everything they knew to the elves. They did not feel the need to do that. There was no ill intention behind it. So Melkor once again takes this fact and twists it, and he twists it to his own use. For his vengeance, to continue to cause tensions between the elves and the Valar. Melkor, the relation between or Melkor and the men, at least at the moment, Melkor was part of the music of the Ainur as well. So everything that kind of Manwe knows, Melkor knows as well. But he did not pay too much attention to the third theme of Ilúvatar, which included the men, the mortal men, because I guess them being mortal and death being their gift did not really interest Melkor, because he was playing the long game. He was like, well, they'll die in 80 years, 100 years, whatever, so they don't matter at all. He will regret it, because there will be mighty men who will fight him in the coming battles. Spoiler alert. But he did not pay any attention to men, did not care of them. He just saw this opportunity to of the Valar not telling the elves about men, the second children of Ilúvatar, and using this to his advantage to continue sowing the seeds of discord between the Valar and the elves, to continue to manipulate these Noldorin elves, who would still keep listening to him, and some really believed and others half believed all that he was saying, all his lies that he was spewing. That is what happened. Elves that Manwe held them captive. So, like, if you think of it, just at face value, if you just read this paragraph and do not know anything about the story that is gonna be happening later, you can kind of see what he means. Well, I don't know. Let me say it like this. If you did not know all the history up till this point about the Valar, you maybe what you knew, you're not really sure because you never really saw. And then someone told you that you're brought to this realm to live with the gods because they have like a secret plan to take over the whole of Middle Earth, and then you would kind of believe it because okay, so the men are mortal, they live short, and the Valar see that okay, elves will be harder to control because they're immortal. So we'll bring the elves here, and then we'll be able to supplant and destroy the race of men when it comes in Middle Earth, and then we'll be the lords of Middle Earth. You would kind of believe it if you were still not really 100% sure about the goodness, nobility, pureness of the powers of Arda, of the Valar, of Manwë. So I guess Noldor really had the doubt from the start about leaving Middle Earth, and it kind of manifests itself in this, that okay, they're easy to sway against the Valar by this evil Melkor. So yeah, Noldor yeah, that is all I'll say about this without like going without like foreshadowing the next paragraphs, which will be next week, I believe. Yes. One more. Let's do one more slide. High princes were Feanor and Fingolfin, the elder sons of Finwë, honored by all in Aman, but now they grew proud and jealous, each of his rights and his possessions. Then Melkor set new lies abroad in Eldamar, and whispers came to Feanor that Fingolfin and his sons were plotting to usurp the leadership of Finwë and of the elder line of Feanor, and to supplant them by the leave of the Valar, for the Valar were ill-pleased that the Silmarils lay in Tirion, and were not committed to their keeping. But to Fingolfin and Finarfin it was said, beware! Small love has the proud son of Miriel ever had for the children of Indus. Now he has become great, and he has his father in his hand. It will not be long before he drives you forth from Tuna. Wow. Feanor and Fingolfin. These are the two sons of Finwë. Finwë, as you know, was married to Feanor's mother, Miriel. She died after giving birth to Feanor. Then she married Indus, and Fingolfin is Indus's son. So now that these two elves, these two elflings have grown up to become great mighty elf lords and princes, Melkor yet again comes up with another lie to spread more tensions between Feanor and Fingolfin. Feanor really never had that much of love for his stepmother, so I guess it kind of makes sense that he doesn't really care much about his stepbrother either. So he whispers that Melkor started by the to the Noldor. It eventually comes to Feanor that Fingolfin and his sons are plotting to usurp the leadership of Finwë and take become the lords of the Noldors. and they want to supplant them, and they're allowed to do this by the Valar. And because the Valar are not really happy that the Silmarils are still kept with Feanor and are not committed to the keeping of the Valar. Again, if you don't know any of these people or have not read about them, and don't really know them that much, then you kind of believe it that surely the gods would be pissed that this awesome thing that is created, these Silmarils, are not given as a bounty to the gods, to the powers of the world, to the Valar, by this children of Ilúvatar who created this. He was born yesterday, and now he made these, and is not even like, has no humility to offer these to the king of Arda, to Manwë. So this is what he does to Feanor. What he does to Fingolfin and Finarfin is that, well, which is kind of true, but not to this extent. So Feanor has no love, had not much love for his stepmother, so, and he didn't care too much about Fingolfin and Finarfin either. So I guess it kind of makes sense when Finarfin and Fingolfin hear that beware, small love has the proud son of Miriel ever had for the children of Indus. Now he has become great, and he has created Silmarils, and he has a father in his hand, obviously, because Finwë really loves Feanor, because he was the last thing that his first wife gave him. It will not be long before he drives you forth from Tuna. So he's telling these stepchildren of Finwë, or a stepbrother of Feanor, to Fingolfin and Finarfin, that well, you'll be thrown out of Tuna soon. He will throw you out, because he's become really great, and he has his father in his hand, and he does not like you, so he's gonna throw you out.
I'm back.
Welcome back. We're talking about Feanor and Fingolfin, the step brothers. Yeah. Again, like, Melkor is continuing to sow his lies between the Noldor, and especially, particularly, between Feanor and Fingolfin. So that was interesting. You wanna take it the slide number 10?
Okay. And when Melkor saw that these lies were smoldering, and that pride and anger were awake among the Noldor, he spoke to them concerning weapons. And in that time the Noldor began the smithing of swords and axes and spears. Shields also they made, displaying the tokens of many houses and kindreds that vied one with another. And these only they wore abroad, and of other weapons they did not speak, for each believed that he alone had received the warning. And Feanor made a secret forge, of which not even Melkor was aware, and there he tempered fell swords for himself and for his sons, and made tall helms with plumes of red. Bitterly did Matan rue the day when he taught to the husband of Nerdanel all the lore of metalwork that he had learned of Aule. Oof.
Yeah, the Feanor guy, seriously. So Melkor finally tells all these lies, rumors spread, and finally the results are showing. He sees that, okay, now the elves are going against one another. They are angry, and they are proud, and they want to make sure that they're ready if the other party attacks or something. He finally tells them, okay, well, you better be prepared when the other party comes in, like when Feanor comes to kick you out, Fingolfin, you better be ready. And to Feanor he tells, well, Fingolfin and Finarfin are planning to throw away Finwë, so they become the lords of the Noldor. So they start making weapons, and Martan, as you know, was the father-in-law of Feanor, which we kind of like said maybe he married Nirdanel only because he wanted to learn from Matan, who had learned his metalwork from Aule. So Feanor is a master metalsmith, obviously, and he's the best there is. So he made these swords for himself and his son, and these helmets, and he was getting ready for a battle, for a fight with his step brothers. It was like, yeah, bring it. If you wanna like throw my father or kill my father, then I'll be ready.
But he was sewing them on the other side too, as well. So they were doing that as well.
I guess I'm sure not to this level. I'm sure Fingolfin was not doing this. Fingolfin, even though he was telling lies, he was being lied to as well by Melkor. Fingolfin would not be doing this. I don't think so. He's a much different person than Feanor. Fingolfin, I think, is the father of Galadriel, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
Thus, with lies and evil whisperings and false counsel, Melkor kindled the hearts of the Noldor to strife, and of their quarrels came at length the end of the high days of Valinor, and the evening of its ancient glory. For Feanor now began openly to speak words of rebellion against the Valar, crying aloud that he would depart from Valinor back to the world without, and would deliver the Noldor from thraldom if they would follow him. Damn. Really?
They were in thraldom? It's kind of like, but really? Like.
So he basically, Melkor told that, I think that was a part of the slide you missed. So Melkor tells the elves that, well, you remember the Valar have not told you they are going to be like the second children of Iluvatar as well. The men are coming. The men are coming, and they are mortal. So the Valar basically brought you here so they could control you. Because when the men come, it will be easier to kill the mortals because they are mortals, so they'll die shortly anyways. So the Valar basically want to take over the Middle Earth for themselves. So that is why they brought you here, and they're like keeping you prisoners here. And the Noldor obviously believed them. So that's what he did. So those are the lies. So and Feanor, well, I kind of believes it well, and then he also tells the Feanor that well, the Valar are not really happy with you at all because they, being the gods of and everything, would have expected you to present the Silmarils as a bounty to them or something. So they're not happy that you're still keeping the Silmarils that you made. So the Valar basically want your Silmarils. And Feanor, as you know, has a really, really close relationship with his creation, and is finally going to open. Well, he's open rebellion. A rebellion is starting in Valinor, and this is the first sign that okay, so Noldor, or at least Feanor, wants to go back to Middle Earth. They're like, yeah, enough with this Valinor stuff. We're done. We will not be prisoners here. This capture that you have captured us here. We want to be free again. We want to go back to Middle Earth. And this concludes part 1 of the Silmaril and the Noldor. Wait, what was that? Unrest of the Noldor. Of the Silmarils and the Unrest of Noldor. Part 2 will be next week sometime on my day off. Till then, well, watch the other parts. if you have not caught up to it. We are pretty much doing the whole book, so like pretty much everywhere. There's very little that we have skipped. It is like a really full audio book discussion. So watch the others in the playlist. It will be somewhere on the left or the right. And if you can't watch it on YouTube, then obviously you can watch it or listen to it on your podcast services, iTunes, Android, Google. I don't know. Ask Alexa. Alexa, can you play EstelPod? I don't even know Alexa. Michi, do you have an Alexa? Michi got disconnected again. Well, anyways, guys, thanks for watching live if you watched us live. Thanks for watching on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube. Thanks for listening to us on a podcast. I will see you guys soon. If you do want to leave us feedback, or if you want to join us live on Discord, well, maybe let me know in the comments, and I'm sure we can arrange something. We have a little Discord, which is obviously the Casual Raiders Discord, but we have a section dedicated to this Silmarillion podcast. This is first of many other books of Tolkien that I want to do as well. So until next time, take care, and I'll catch you guys soon.